Welcome, everyone, to the Greenpath Financial Wellness webinar. Try these financial life hacks. I'm Jessie Garrison with Greenpath Financial Wellness. Greenpath is a nonprofit organization with the mission of empowering people to lead financially healthy lives. Financial education is something that we should all continue to engage with, regardless of how much we already know. There are always things we can learn to improve or help maintain our financial wellness. Today, we will be talking about our topic, try these financial life hacks. I am joined today by one of our program managers, Dusty Young. Thank you for allowing me to join you today, Dusty. Take a moment to introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Jessie. My name's Dusty. I work for Greenpath Financial Wellness. I'm currently working on our financial coaching program, something that's a little bit new to Greenpath that is aimed at bridging the gap between action and intention and really giving people the support that they need to reach their goals. Like Jessie, I'm a financial wellness enthusiast, and I absolutely love the work that we're doing here at Greenpath. I think that's a perfect tie into what Greenpath can do for you. Hey, Jessie?
Absolutely. Thanks, Dusty. So, GreenPath provides a variety of services, all designed to help our clients understand and work towards financial wellness. GreenPath's goal is to empower people to lead financially healthy lives. You can take advantage of a free financial assessment with GreenPath Financial Wellness, and we can discuss your spending plan, review your credit report, discuss all of your housing questions or concerns, as well as your student loan options. And we specialize in helping people explore options for dealing with debt. All of our basic counseling services are free and confidential. We are licensed to serve in all 50 states via phone, and we do offer immediate sessions during normal business hours in English and in Spanish. Additionally, we use telelanguage interpretation services to be able to provide real-time counseling in over 300 languages. So please give us a call to do your own financial assessment or answer any additional questions that you might have after today's presentation. Dusty?
And again, Jessie said all this at the beginning, but we are a national nonprofit. Our goal is to empower you with financial education and the tools that you need to act on that education. If you need anything, I would strongly encourage you guys to give us a call. We really do believe in the work that we're doing, and I think that there's nothing more important than awareness. So if you have financial questions, you're told not to talk about money, politics, or religion, and we really want to change that. We don't care about politics. We don't care about talking about religion. We do want to make it easy for you to get your financial questions answered and for you to have a sounding board. So we would encourage that you guys give us a call. And we kind of introduced ourselves earlier, but we'll just do another quick introduction before we move on.
I'm Jessie Garrison, and I'm a partner experience manager at Greenpath. I've been with Greenpath for 5 years, but I've been in the financial industry since 2005. So, business banking, personal banking, investments, and real estate. And I love to remember that no matter where you are on your journey to financial wellness, the thing that I love to remember is whether you are having a hardship or you're not having a good relationship with money, or you're walking into the financial institution, you're ready to invest $1 million, both of those conversations are going to start with the same thing. We're going to want to know about your budget. Do you have a budget? Do you know what the word budget means? Do you track your spending? Do you have enough to get you by in a day-to-day, housing and living expenses? So I love to keep that in mind, especially when we're talking to the folks at Greenpath on the phone that might not be having that perfect relationship with money.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm Dusty, so I just put a fun picture up here. I've been with Greenpath almost 17 years,
Wow.
and I know it goes so fast. I think what's important to me is to just remember that you don't know what you don't know, and you also don't know what you know. So when I think about everyone that is on this webinar, we all have a money story. We all have learned different ways to handle our money, to think about money, to interact with money, to give advice or seek advice about money. And what are those things? What are the things that you think you know or that you think you've got a handle on? And how can we actually learn something new today? So I'm always on this quest for how can I just hear something a little bit differently or try something a little bit differently to find what really is going to work for me? Because essentially, money is a tool. And when you have enough money, it gives you peace of mind and it allows you to focus on the things that really matter. And those things are going to be different for you than what they are for me. But our goal today is to give you these financial hacks. So, to give you strategies or techniques so that you can manage your time or daily activities in a more efficient way. We want to give you a way to really hack your financial needs, your basic needs, food, shelter, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't simply say transportation or try to lure you into this idea of, oh, you don't need a car. That's going to be a great way to save money. You you very well may need a car, especially depending on where you are and what your life looks like and where you have to go every day. We want that to be reliable. Our goal with these hacks is truly to give you the information that you need so that you have more time to spend on the things that matter to you and less time is spent worrying about the things that are financial needs, that are financial necessities. So as we move through today's webinar, I want you to start thinking, how am I going to use this information? How am I going to share this information? Take notes. If something is resonating with you or you hear something that you're like, oh, I think my husband needs to hear this, or oh my gosh, this is perfect for my daughter. Jot it down. Send them the recording and tell them where to find the information. So as you're going through this, it's going to be really helpful if you think about how am I going to use it? How am I going to share it? How am I going to teach it to someone else? Because we're just planting the seed today, and that seed isn't going to grow if you guys don't do something with it. We could go through a bunch of basic money hacks that you could easily read on the internet. We're not going to do a lot of that today. We're really going to focus on the big things. And to kind of get us started, we actually will start with some of these basics.
So as Dusty mentioned, think about what's going to fit for you. Everything doesn't fit for everybody every day, every time, right? So we're going to give you a few ideas. And this is a picture from our 10 financial hacks blog. And you can find this on our website. I also just put this in the chat. So it's greenpath.com/try these 10 financial life hacks. So you can check this out and you can read a little bit more because we're not going to cover all 10 today. We're just going to cover a few. Um, and then take a look. Learn about what's going to fit for you and your needs and your lifestyle and what's happening in your life right now. Like Dusty mentioned, you might need the car, but maybe somebody could use their bike instead and save money on gas. So lots of different little things that we're going to cover today. Again, we'll focus on the big picture items that we're going to really try to help you significantly reduce your costs and then maybe change that mindset around money.
Yeah. And as we start changing that mindset, I'm going to just point to a couple of these on the screen before we go into the focusing on big changes. So when you change your mindset, you might decide to delete your payment information. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how that creates friction and creates a barrier. You may decide that, oh, I really need to use cash because when I use my credit card, I overspend. You may decide to automate your money, which is something else that we're going to talk about. And knowing that you have that spending account is going to give you some peace of mind. So keep these things handy. Think about how you might use them as we dig into this big picture. And like Jesse said, we're going to focus on the big things. So, what are some big changes that you can make in order to improve your financial situation? These are our big three. We are going to talk about your mindset and the way that you think about money. We're going to talk about your biggest expenses, which are primarily your housing and your transportation. We'll give you some ways to hack those costs and hopefully bring them down in order to save hundreds of dollars every year. And then we'll talk about your day to day. So, what are you doing to just get by, and how can you change the way that you're thinking about it in order to save money on your expenses? So, again, our three big categories: your money mindset, your biggest expenses, and then your day to day. If you want to hack your money, we mentioned this at the beginning. Greenpath offers a free financial assessment. I would encourage you guys to go through it. If you don't know where your money is going, we may be hacking the wrong things. You may already be optimizing your big expenses. You might not have a car, or you might have already reduced your housing, or maybe you've already gotten your mindset right and you feel really good about your finances. If you don't know where your money's going, how are you going to measure whether or not you're successful? How are you going to see if there's any big leaks or if you are justifying your purchases like we're going to talk about? Take some time, go through your financial situation, get an idea of where your money is going so that you can make changes. And as you're thinking about that, think about the things that matter to you. So in the chat, if you guys could just tell me, what are some things that matter to you? What are some things that you want to make sure that you can afford every single month? And when I look at this question, I think about I think about running shoes. This is really important to me that I can have some really great running shoes. And I know that seems silly for other people, but it's something that's important to me. So, yep, I see rent, mortgage loans, basic needs. I see all these things coming in. Keep chatting those in. This is actually why we're doing this, is that we want to make it easier for you guys to meet these needs. Yep, home improvements. So our first hack is to practice self-empathy. 4 in 10 Americans admit to keeping financial secrets. And in that chat, you guys put lots of amazing things that matter to you. And I'm guessing that there might be some things that you didn't put because you were afraid that you might be judged for spending money on things that aren't a necessity, or things that are for you and not for your family, things that maybe you're concerned about. You don't want anyone to judge you for the way that you're spending your money. We want to transform the way that you're thinking about money, and that starts with empathy. Greenpath is known for being empathetic, and that's because we want to remove the shame from the money arena. We're all trying to navigate this life in the happiest and healthiest way imaginable, and that's why we want to focus on spending according to our values and in a way that allows us to live the life that we want. Does that mean we always get what we want? No. It just means that we are spending more on the things that matter and less on the things that don't. Yeah, I love these comments that are coming in. Having a personal lifestyle outside of mandatory things like a mortgage and car, that is amazing. It's a big goal, and it can sometimes feel like we're never going to get there. If you guys practice some of these things, you will be able to take control of your money. So hacking your financial mindset. Understand that it's completely normal to judge your own spending and to judge other people's spending. Completely normal. We all do it. We're all like, oh, I can't believe they're driving that car. That's so expensive. Or my sister owns 4 snowmobiles. 4. You guys can hear the judgment in my voice. You know what? It makes her happy. Why am I being judgmental? She's happy. So understand that it's completely normal to judge your own spending and other people's. Label that emotion. If you can give it a name, it's going to provide some distance. And then replace that judgment with curiosity. For me, when it came to what do I really want to spend money on, what does that look like? I never allowed myself to move to Colorado. I have wanted to live out here for years. My best friend has been telling me to move here for 12 years. And I was always like, I can't do that. It's so expensive. I can't afford that much in rent. I can't believe people pay that much money for a house. It just kind of blew my mind to think about that. And I really had to replace that judgment with curiosity. With, oh, well, what would my life look like if I did live there? How could I make my dollars stretch? What else could I do in order to make it so that it's affordable to live there? The next thing you want to do is remind your inner critic you're doing the best that you can. You're going to have days that you need to spend out of convenience. You didn't have anything packed, you need to eat, you're feeling stressed out. Guess what? I'm doing the best that I can. I'm going to own this and I'm going to make some changes. And practice what's helpful, not what's harmful. So a lot of times if we do some of these things that we're talking about where Like I feel like I overspent on my groceries and I beat myself up for it. That's not helping anyone. That's actually making it worse. And it might make me have ostrich syndrome. And what I call ostrich syndrome is when I bury my head in the sand. I'm not going to look at my budget. I'm going to start over again at the first of the month because I don't want to acknowledge the fact that I overspent and I feel bad about it. Try not to do that.
It
You're still
happens.
going to have time. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Overspending happens. So acknowledge it, be nice to yourself, and try not to do it next time.
And I want you guys to write down what Jesse just said. If you are struggling with this, write down be nice to yourself and put it on a sticky note and remind yourself because you would never talk to your best friend or a complete stranger the way that you're talking to yourself sometimes. Here's another mindset hack. Use behavioral economics to your advantage. So create friction. What are some ways that you might be able to create friction with your spending? I know Jesse's got a couple great examples.
Yeah, so, one barrier or creating friction, so just making it harder for yourself to either spend that money, or in my case, it was harder to take the money out of the account. Now, this is 20 years ago after I graduated college, and we didn't have all of these electronic funds transfer options that we do today. And so I had my primary checking account is a local bank of where I lived, but where I went to school, where I went to college, was an hour's drive, 60 miles away. And so I still had a credit union that I had my savings account there. And so it was easy for me to set up a direct deposit from my job, and $5 from every paycheck was direct deposited into the savings at the credit union that I had to physically drive to go get the money out of, because it wasn't a large credit union. There wasn't, now again, now 20 years later, we have multiple credit unions that share, and you can, you know, go to one credit union, take money out any which way. The $5 per paycheck went to the savings, and then it turned into $10 per paycheck, and now it's much, much more than that per paycheck. But I've done that now for 20 years. So that barrier that I set up for myself was not having easy access to that money. So it truly was like an emergency savings. Like if I really needed that money, I'm going to make the time to drive there. But it wasn't just a quick transfer to my checking account to go buy new shoes, or to spend extra at the grocery store, as Dusty's example was. It really made me pay attention to my spending.
And one of the ones that was on the sheet that we looked at earlier was deleting your payment method. So if you have a situation where your Amazon payment is saved, it's very easy to go in, click yes, I want it. Well, what if you could just create a little bit of friction? Because how easy is it to just forget or to maybe window shop or to not go back and check out because, oh, I let it sit there. I let it sit in my cart because it didn't have an automatically saved payment information. What if you deleted some of those apps? If you don't have the app on your phone, you're not going to be as likely to spend the money or to make that purchase. If you go to the grocery store less, you're not going to make those impulse buys. So make it harder to spend or make it harder to get the money out that you've saved. Another thing that you can do is label FOMO. We all have this fear of missing out. We're all afraid that, oh, everyone else is living a better life than I am. They're taking this vacation, they're doing these things. Well, what if you just have an amazing life and you put down your phone or you stopped going on social media so much and you just looked out your window for a second? If you just look out your window and think, oh, yeah, I've actually got it pretty good. I don't need all of these extra things. You might be surprised at how much you can do without. The next one is kind of in line with that, setting up your environment. So you want to get rid of triggers or cues that are encouraging you to overspend. I like this one. So someone just put in here, I unsubscribe from my emails. Unsubscribing is setting up your environment so you're not seeing these things that are tempting you to spend. I have a separate email. It's everyonelovesasale@gmail.com. And any coupons that I want, I have them shipped there because I don't need to see them every day. Like, great. If I decide that I want to buy something, I might go into that email and look for a coupon. Otherwise, I don't really want to see it. Like, I don't want to see it all the time. Using cash, like for some people, cash is amazing. For other people, cash, like this person in the chat, it burns a hole in their pocket. So you have to figure out what's better for you. How can you set up your environment so that you are focused on your financial goals? It's incredibly helpful. I like this too, out of sight, out of mind. You can also use things that you want and keep them in sight so that you're not tempted to spend on other things. So one of the things that I think about is, do I want to buy a house? Do I want to buy a car? I'll actually print those things and put them on my fridge because then when I'm tempted to overspend, I don't. We have a colleague and she is amazing with money and amazing at teaching about money. She taught her daughter to wrap her debit card with a picture of the house that she wanted. So then every time her daughter went to get that debit card out, she saw the picture and she's like, "Oh, do I actually want this?" Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not
Which one?
sure. So I think I'm going to save this money instead. Just an easy way to set up your environment. And then I love this last one, automate your money. Does anyone else do this? I automate my money
I
and I
have
love it.
I have
Yep, I
so many
see
things
some
that are
yeses
automated,
coming
and
in.
all I do is just kind of double check things just to make sure like it's all, like the little gear is moving, like your little icon here. I love it.
Exactly. Like you just set it and forget it. And you don't actually forget it because, like Jesse said, you want to go in and you want to double check and make sure all your payments went out. But most people manage their money like this. They put all of their money into one account, and when that money goes into the one account, then it's like everything's coming out, and you have to constantly watch your account, and you're not sure if everything can be paid on time, or you might be pushing bills back or using your credit cards because you're just not quite sure that your money is going to last longer than your month. So you start making a ton of decisions and you actually end up with decision fatigue. And what decision fatigue is it's this idea that when you have to make more and more and more decisions, there isn't bandwidth to continue to make those decisions well. So if you can automate your money, you have fewer decisions to make. You actually reach out and set up your direct deposit based on how much money you need for each expenses. So you say, okay, I have my paycheck. This is the amount of my monthly bills. If I'm getting paid bi-weekly, I'm going to take the amount of my monthly bills, divide it in half, and have this much money go into my bill pay account. And then I'm going to designate money for my savings. And then I'm going to designate money for my emergency fund, for my retirement, and then for me. And guess what? Now I can guilt-free spend money because it's in the me bucket. Or I can know when I log in that my bills are going to get paid because I've set enough money aside to make sure that that happens. I've set it, I've forgotten it, I don't have to worry. This is not always easy at first. When I first started doing this, I was recently out of a relationship and I was living on my Greenpath check, and I had to get a second job in order to have money for the me and for the groceries and for that savings account. It got easier and easier because I knew that my Greenpath check just covered all of my bills. And because I was doing that bi-weekly, at the end of a year, I had a whole extra check in savings. And it felt so good. I don't know if anyone else has ever had that experience, but if you can automate, it's really an amazing thing.
That's what I did, Dusty, when I set up the savings account at the credit union. I still have my primary banking relationship. I still have my credit union. And as I mentioned, I started out with just $5 per paycheck. I moved it to 10 to 15 to 20. I don't know what it's at today, but it's more than that. And it's just the habit that I got into. And so every year I increase that dollar amount just because life and inflation. So every year a little bit more goes, and it's awesome to set yourself a goal. Okay, $5 per paycheck, I got to reach $100. Okay, I reached $100. Let's celebrate. Not by taking money out. Let's celebrate by putting more in. Let's like make it
Yes.
200, 300, 400, 1,000, 2,000, whatever the goal might be next that you want to stretch to.
Guys, this is a great hack. Like, take Jesse's idea and put it into action. You know, how easy would it be to just start with $5 and then keep increasing it when you get your raise at the beginning of next year? Hey, that 3% or 10% or whatever it is can go right into that savings account. Here's another financial hack. When you think about where your money is going, we often justify our purchases. What are some things that you guys typically justify? Is it because, oh, I didn't have time, or I've worked really, really hard today? It's no big deal. Let me justify my bad day by treating myself with coffee or ice cream. Oh, I've had a bad day. I'm going to purchase this on Amazon. I'm hungry and I didn't plan. I love this one that just came in the chat. So I like Jesse's. I don't have time. I don't have time, so I need to order it online because it's going to be really, really quick. This image is actually from a new movie that came out called Get Smart with Money. It's on Netflix and it's about financial coaching. This is my friend Kim that you see on the screen. And as she's riding her bike, she's justifying the purchases that she's making. And these were all the same things that we're all thinking. You know, it was all for Kim. It's like, I am working so hard that I can go out and I can spend this money. My business is increasing, so I'm just going to buy this on Amazon. I need a dopamine hit. And I love this, right? I'm always buying for someone else just in case they need it. It's still spending, even if it's not for me. And that's another way we're just justifying our purchases, and that's what's running through our minds. So next time you guys make a purchase, I want you guys to think about the PJM. What is that purchase justification machine that is going on in your head? Let's talk about big expenses. So Jesse, tell me about how we could hack transportation.
So another way that you could hack transportation, a couple of them listed on the screen here, is, carpools and rideshare. If it's close enough, maybe you walk or ride your bike. Maybe now in the last couple of years, your household working situation has changed. I know for our company, Greenpath, we have been working at home since March 2020. We are just now the last couple of months going back into the office, but only 2 days a week. My husband and I might consider having just one car because we're both working from home so much. And if we plan ahead, then maybe we only need one car instead of two. So that'll save money on gas, auto insurance. And then if there is still a car payment, that could be some ways to save money. Maybe because you work from home, that is the way that you're hacking your transportation because you're not spending as much money on gas. So I know at least the first year, 2020, I was really, really tracking how much less that we spent in gas. And it was over $1,500 a month. I'm sorry, not a month. I wish it was a month. It was $1,500 for the whole entire year from both my husband and I working from home during that year. Now, I wish I was smart and I put that $1,500 in savings. So I didn't spend it on gas, but I can't tell you that I actually have it. I just know that we had that much less in gasoline purchases. So we also want to think about how much does it cost. We did some math and I'm trying to find my math here. Um, you know, if you are not spending, 1 week, one tank of gas, whatever that tank of gas might be. I know Dusty's got this example of $4.19. Some areas in the country, it might be still $4.19 a gallon. In Michigan, where I live, it's around 3.65. So, those few cents per gallon, if you're going to a different gas station, I particularly use Costco. So Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's, they might have a reduced gas price based on the regular gas station around the corner. For me, it was like 65 cents last week. So 65 cents saved per 20-gallon tank, that's $13 a week, and that's about $676 a year. So right there, that could definitely offset the cost of an annual membership to the Costco, BJ's, or Sam's Club stores. Dusty, anything to add here?
I just love that. Like, I love when you do the math and you think, oh, holy cow, that's a lot of money. And I also liked the idea that came in the chat, depositing the money you would have spent on gas into that savings account.
Yeah.
I like too, and this is actually on our next slide, but keeping your car maintained. So these are big expenses. And if you can do your maintenance yourself, I was so proud of myself last weekend. You guys, I changed my headlight bulb and it cost me less than $20. I went to AutoZone, I pulled up a video on YouTube and thought, oh, that's pretty amazing. My neighbor just changed their brake pads and it was $40 for them. I had another friend that shopped around for auto insurance and she was able to save $300 a year. You don't get complacent. It is really, really easy. Thank you, Lori. I was really proud. Um, it's really easy, you guys, to get very complacent and not shop around for our auto insurance and to just say, oh, I've been with this company for the last 10 years. Why would I call and ask? If your car is getting older, you might want to increase your deductible. If you know that hey, this is when my policy renews, mine renews around my birthday every year, I make myself a Google Calendar reminder and set aside an hour to just shop around for auto insurance to make sure I'm getting the best deal possible. I ask a lot of questions like, can I combine this? Can I change my deductible? What has changed? Is there anything else that I can do since I'm not driving as much? Jesse and I, in preparation for this, we were chatting about driving, and I don't drive very often anymore because I work from home. I can bike to the grocery store. So for me, if I can increase my deductible because I'm hardly ever on the road, that's what I did, and that helped me save money. What could you do? Could you drive a different car? This is kind of a radical idea, and yet if you could switch to an electric car, could that save you a ton of money? I have a friend, Sandy, who she's married to a fireman. He drives 2 hours to work. So 1 hour there, 1 hour back, and he had this great big truck. They traded it in for a Prius, saving tons of money, and it's a much better commute. So that long commute was costing him hundreds of dollars, and that huge truck, now he doesn't have to worry about it. So I know that's kind of a radical idea, but like we talked about at the beginning, how can you do things differently? Uh, do you have to have that car? Is it something that you're justifying? Are you running that PJM in the back of your mind to justify why you need to keep this car? Or could you do something different? And I also really like these suggestions that came in the chat. BJ's gas is super cheap. You can save an additional 10% or 10 cents off. They have weekly product specials that also give you 10 cents off for each product. Kroger is another one that has really great gas mileage and gas rebates. Reduce the miles for car insurance if you're working from home. So lots of really good ideas that came in, you guys.
Dusty, one more thing before you move on from car expenses. I am being nice to myself and having some empathy, just like you said earlier, because you said make that phone call to your insurance company. And I immediately was like, that's the worst call to make every year. Like, I don't want to do it. But let's switch that mindset. Let's be nice to ourselves. Let's remember that we have to have empathy and say, I am going to make this call because I'm going to save myself some money. So I am actually going to do that this year. I'm going to make that phone call because I haven't in the last year and a half. I want to make that phone call, so I want to save myself some money.
I love that. You're just shifting your mindset, and we know you can do it. We know you can make that call. And if you're having a hard time getting yourself to do it, do what Jesse just did and publicly announce that you are going to make the call and ask someone to hold you accountable. And then give yourself a reward after. You know, like I totally do that. I'm like, if I do this, I get pancakes. So make it fun. Ask someone to hold you accountable. We'll be following up. We'll ask Jesse how it goes. I love this one. So you guys, I'm going to geek out a little bit on here on housing. This is your biggest expense that you pay typically. And I talked about how I moved out to Colorado and I had all of these reasons why I couldn't because I was so worried it was going to be so expensive and I wasn't going to be able to afford it. And oh my goodness. Well, what if you can save money on your housing? Do you have an extra room? There's a lot of medical programs. There's a lot of interns that are looking for 1 to 6 months of housing. So maybe you could rent out an extra room. Maybe you could rent out your garage space. The amount of people that have a boat or a car or a snowmobile that they're parking outside because they don't have any room in their garage is huge. So you might be able to rent out your garage. You could also rent yard space. So my friend Sandy that I was just telling you about, she lives on 4 acres here in Colorado. And she actually rents out her yard for people to house their chickens, their pigs, their cows, and it helps her offset the housing. You could build an ADU, which is an accessory dwelling unit. That really just means that you're building a second place for people to live or a second apartment, and then you could rent it out. You can also put a yurt or an Airstream on your property and list it on something like Hip Camp so that people can actually stay and camp on your land. And people are always looking for those things. And then my favorite is this idea of buying a multifamily. I know this isn't going to work for everyone. And don't worry, it doesn't have to. Again, part of why you're here is that you are the sharer of information. You are collecting all these ideas, and as part of your day to day, you get to talk about these ideas to people. You get to share them. You get to plant that seed. If you buy a multifamily, it's a great way to live in one unit and rent out the other. And this is an idea of what it looks like. So I know for me, I have lived in a multifamily since 2018. So I guess for 4 years now. And what I do is I just live in one side and then I rent out the other. And that rent that I'm collecting is offsetting my mortgage. So in the example here, we have a 4 unit, and you guys can see the rent that they're getting. They're getting $1,800 a month in rent, and then that's offsetting the amount that they actually have to pay. So it can end up making you money. And this is actually how I afford to live in Colorado. I rent out the upstairs of my house and I live in the downstairs. So really fantastic way to reduce your biggest expense. And oftentimes it's not that inconvenient. You know, especially if you look at this example, this house here is a duplex, so you would still have a garage, you'd still have 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. You're not going to be out at all. You're just going to have this other side that you share a wall with and you're going to collect rent from them. Again, I know it's kind of a radical idea, but it can be a really fun way to save money. We'll move on to something else that everyone is paying for, which is groceries and ways to hack groceries. I'm going to grab some tips that came in here through the chat that we can also use. So, you know, to piggyback on gas and also on groceries, you can pay with cash versus a card, and it typically will cost less. Or you can pay with a card that gets you bonus points or gives you cash back. You can run all of these things through the PJM filter, which stands for the Purchase Justification Machine, to make sure that you are purchasing things that are in alignment with your values and with kind of what you actually want. You can do curbside pickup. It's huge. So, you know, if you're doing curbside pickup, you are less likely to spend money on things that you don't need. I showed you guys that picture earlier of the Get Smart with Money documentary with my friends Kim and John. If you watch the documentary, you'll find that they were spending $1,200 a month on groceries. And by switching from shopping at the local grocery store, which here is King Supers, it's like Michigan's version of Kroger, they started shopping at Costco and they saved $400 a month. So maybe you can shop at a BJ's, Sam's Club, or Costco. You can also plan your meals around sales. So, what's on sale and how do you plan your meal around that? so that when something's on sale, you're just spending less overall. And when something's on sale and you know it's something you're going to buy anyway, stock up. I mean, there's no harm in having extra. You can make meals from your pantry. Absolutely. Curbside also saves you a ton of time, and that time is pretty valuable because that time is something that you can do something else with. Maybe it's time with your family, maybe it's time making additional money. All those things are really helpful. Another good hack is to snack less and drink more water. And I can tell you guys, as I was preparing this webinar, one of the people at our co-working space said, "You want me to drink water?" And I sat down with him and I was like, "Zach, let's do the math. How much are you actually spending on your bubbly water?" And he said, "Oh, I guess I've never thought about it. I guess I'm spending about $10 a week on bubbly waters because I get, two 12 packs." And I was like, "Well, do that over a month." And then he's like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I should try that. Maybe I should just try to even do every other drink as water." So, all different ways that you can save money on one of your biggest expenses. And I'd love to hear what else you guys have as grocery hacks, because this is definitely a big thing, is grocery hacks.
So you made me think of that, Dusty, is I bought a soda stream. And so the
Yeah.
soda stream is that I can make my own bubbly water and or it's just plain water or you can buy like the flavorings, but the flavoring little packets are much cheaper than buying the 12 pack or the 24 pack of canned um whatever type of flavoring soda water that you like. So that's one that I used a coupon and a like a discount. It was on sale. I used a coupon, so it was like half off the soda stream. And buying a CO2 cartridge is $15 where I live, and I do that every other month, maybe. So if it was $12 a week, now I'm doing $15 every other month. It's definitely a way to save money doing your own soda stream.
It's a huge savings. I mean, Jesse, like just that small amount it really adds up over time. And you save a lot of time too, because it's less time that you have to go to the grocery store, which is huge. I like this too. Shopping without your kids or your husband. Store brands versus name brands. The store app has lots of great coupons. Some stores also, there are people that have figured out how to hack their coupon system. So if you are a Kroger shopper or King Supers, there's a site called Kroger Crazy. There's another one, which is the Crazy Target lady. All of these people have figured out how to stack coupons. Making a plan and sticking with it. Meal planning, that's huge, huge, huge. Buy one, get one. Never shopping when you're hungry. That one is, sometimes you go in and you just are so hungry that you want to buy everything. I definitely suffer from that. I like this one too. You know, if you can shop without your kids or your husband, that works. So if you can't, because your partner does love to shop, make sure that you are sending them with a list or that you are going with them. And also look for discount stores. I saw this one in here too. And I'd actually put in my talking notes, here in Colorado, we have a store called Esch's, which is a discount store. There's also Aldi. Um, all of those things definitely add up. Yeah, I like this too. Reading nutritional labels has helped me to say no more lately, which is pretty fantastic as well. Just kind of figuring that out and knowing that what you're eating is really healthy. You can save a ton of money. I wanted to put this one in here. So another thing to think about when we're thinking about where our money is going and how we might hack our mindset is to really think about the why, to be curious about why you feel like you're wasting money. And this was a top 10 list that came up when I did a Google search. And I like it because I think sometimes this plays on the way that we think about money. So How often do you get the email that something is only available for a limited time? The sale is going to end, so I have to buy it today. There is one left. Well, kind of a marketing gimmick. And a lot of times we don't think about it in the moment. Instead, we just see it and we're like, oh, I need to have this. Really wanting something. And how often do you really want something? And then 6 months later, you're donating it. If you can make yourself wait for 24 hours, then I know I really do want it. Number two is probably the biggest one for me is convenience. Like I was in a hurry, I needed to have this. I just had lunch with my girlfriend Annie, who was talking about how her kids needed water bottles and she felt like she way overpaid at Target because it was convenient. She was already there, it was simple, just needed to do it. Something's on sale. When something's on sale, I feel like I have to buy it. Not thinking about interest or fees. I made a big purchase at the wrong time. I didn't wait for it to go on sale. I'm buying a grill at the beginning of the summer when grills are at their high point instead of waiting and doing it at the end of the year when they're trying to get rid of them. Number 8, death by a million paper cuts. We do a lot of small spending and we're not realizing how it's adding up. We don't think about how much it's going to cost in the long run. We get a new car or we get something that's a big ticket item and we're not calculating how much it's going to cost us to maintain it. My sister loves outdoor recreation, which you guys probably know by now with the 4 snowmobiles. At one point, they got in a boat and she didn't think about the fact that, oh, I'm going to have to pay boat insurance. I'm going to have to store the boat somewhere. I'm going to have to put gas in the boat. I need life jackets. I need all these other expenses. And she's like, this boat just ended up costing so much more money than I thought it was going to. So I decided I didn't want it anymore.
Do you know what BOAT stands for, Dusty?
No,
And BOAT is but only another $1,000.
which is very true. Very, very
Yes.
true. Yeah, I love that. And I like these other things, these other things too. When we think about having the empathy for yourself, if you are wasting money on any of these things, or this is why you're wasting money, just get curious about it. Try not to judge yourself, just get curious and think, oh, well, if I'm doing this for convenience, how can I feel more prepared? If I'm doing this because I really want it, like Amber put a great note in here, how can I allow myself one thing off this list of things that I really want instead of getting them all? This is my favorite. I I tend to be a lover of information, and one of the things to think about is that you are in control. You can change your life and you can change the lives of the people around you. So I love information because I think everyone has a different voice, and hearing it from someone else, sometimes it resonates more. Or hearing a message in a new way, it might speak to you. I put some of my favorite books on here. I don't think every book speaks to every audience. I just don't. Like I love these books. I love I Will Teach You to Be Rich because it's very tactical. It tells me exactly how to do things, exactly how to automate my money. The Simple Path to Wealth is a story that a guy wrote for his daughter, like if he was telling his daughter how to manage money. Set for Life is great for young people that are starting out. The ideas are pretty radical. I don't know that at my age I can introduce a lot of them. It's still great information. So the more information that you guys take a look at, the easier it's going to be for you to talk about money and to share the other information with people. So this information, just ways to consume different financial education and to find something that really resonates with you. And if you look at this list and you think, I'm not a reader, I'm never going to read any of these books,
And pick
that's
one to
okay.
start. You don't have to read them all. I know it was a
Yeah,
big list.
it's a big list. And if you guys don't want to read any of them, try listening to a podcast. I mean, if you have time, if you're on the commute, these ones are my favorites. Popcorn Finance is financial information in less time than it takes you to pop a bag of popcorn. Mad Scientist is the one that actually got me hooked on financial education and financial information. Choose FI has lots of tactical information and topics. They have a new one that just came out about the student loans and the student loan deadlines. I love the message in Afford Anything because she really does believe that you can afford anything, but not everything. So you want to be able to spend more money on the things that matter and less money on the things that don't. So if you guys are looking to kind of expand your knowledge or to feel in control of your money or to learn new ways to talk about financial topics, these are great resources. And the biggest thing that I really want to leave you guys with is that money is meant to work for you, not the other way around. The things that you can't get back are moments like this. These are my friends and my neighbors. They're playing in the creek on a beautiful Tuesday. These are my parents visiting me in Colorado, their first time out west. These are the things that matter. These are the things that make the meaningful work that we do during the day worth it. You know, think about your moments. What are they? Is it the time with your kids? Is it the time with your friends? What is it that you want to spend more time doing and more time thinking about? And how can you reduce your necessities to make this a reality? We love to end our meetings by doing a quick reflection because we know that information without action is meaningless. You know, in this chat, I would love it if you guys could just let us know what is your favorite hack. So, of all the things that you heard today, of all the recommendations, what was your favorite hack? And then what are you planning to actually do and by when? This is called an implementation intention. And when we talked about changing your mindset and using behavioral economics, creating that friction, an implementation intention is just putting words around the action and giving yourself a deadline so that you actually do it. And if you guys can chat in what you're planning to do, that way we can help you guys celebrate the decision that you've made. We can cheer you on along the way, and we can learn from you guys what information really resonated, what we should continue to share, and how we can continue to pull this message forward. And we're also just really happy to help you guys. So if you want an accountability buddy, we are here for that too. And I love these chats that are coming in. So I really like, I'm going to delete my saved payment information. I can splurge on something and not feel guilty if this is something I can justify. Shopping around for auto insurance, so someone else that's going to do what you're doing, Jesse. Using your home or
Yeah.
property to earn income. Automating my money. Guys, there are so many amazing things coming in. Keep chatting those in. Jesse and I are going to stay on in case you have any questions. You can feel free to put them on in the chat. And if we're not able to answer your question, please feel free to give us a call or, we mentioned this at the beginning and I'm just going to remind you, we do offer a variety of services. So you can take advantage of that free financial assessment. We'll talk with you about your debt, your housing concerns, your money, your mindset. And I would just encourage you guys to give us a call. All of our basic counseling is free. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jesse for any other thoughts or questions or comments. I like a lot of these
Thanks,
that are
Dusty.
coming in.
Yeah, I see some of them are coming to all panelists. I think some are just going to you, Dusty, but either way, I even helping you in preparing for this, I learned something today as we talked about it. So I thank you for doing this. I thank everyone for coming today. Again, get your own Greenpath financial assessment. Maybe we'll give you a pat on the back and give you a high five saying, hey, you're doing exactly things right. Great job, keep it up. Maybe you want somebody just to talk to what are your goals? What is your budget? What should be my next step? We'll help talk about those steps with you, help you decide. We'll give you education, we'll give you information. Um, our financial assessments are free and confidential. You can take a look. You can call us at 877-337-3399. You can go to my.greenpath.com or the QR code is up on your screen. We did see a couple of questions. Yes, we are recording, and yes, we will share the recording. That will be on greenpath.com/webinars. So you can take a look at that. You'll also get your own very private email with a link to the recording as soon as it's ready. So that should be done in the next couple of days. We will also have in that follow-up email some additional information for you, some resources that Dusty wanted to share. So absolutely take a look at the recording if you wanted to get some notes or you wanted to share the recording with someone else. We thank you for being here today. Everyone, have a great day.
Thank you guys so much. You're very welcome.